Welcome to Lee Anderson's Real World. I'm back in the big house. I'm back on the GB News channel as well. Tonight, we've got two fantastic guests. We've got Fadi Farhat, who's a immigration lawyer, and Tom Buick, who's a political commentator and writer. Thank you, guys. This week, straight away, we're back in the big house. We're back in Parliament. And the big question on everybody's lips is how are we going to sort out the illegal migration crisis? I think this Labour government now is going to give amnesty, Paddy, to 100,000 asylum seekers. I don't like to call them asylum seekers. I think the illegal migrants have always said it. How is that going to solve the problem?
Well, you have a problem now, which is the backlog, and that backlog was deliberately, there was a choice, the Conservative Party, in setting up the Rwanda scheme. Instead of making the choice to have the scheme up and running and operational and then sending people back once the scheme is up and running, it deliberately decided to create a backlog by actually putting aside anyone who applied before the scheme was fully operational. So this backlog was a choice. It's not an unforeseen consequence. And now that you have the backlog, people are in a state of limbo. So they're currently being housed in hotels, or they're currently being provided with accommodation with no decision as to their future.
Yeah, but Fadi, we keep hearing this term, we're going to clear the backlog. We heard it from the previous government, we're hearing it from the Labour government now. How does clearing the backlog stop people coming over on small boats?
It doesn't, but it at least allows you to free up resources in terms of once a backlog is cleared, at least you then can sort of marshal your resources appropriately to address any challenges that come ahead. What's happening now is, let's just assume we live in a parallel universe. Let's just say Keir Starmer doesn't want to scrap the Rwanda scheme. Let's say he's in favour of the Rwanda scheme. Let's just say also that the courts have cleared the Rwanda scheme, that there's no legal impediments whatsoever. And those, that will be remarkable. And let's just say that actually people want to go to Rwanda, which again, remarkable. Parallel universe. What you then have is Rwanda has said that even if you were to get flights out tomorrow, Rwanda has said that in the first couple of years, it will only take around 800 to 2,000 a year. If you now have a backlog of nearly 100,000, in the best case scenario, it's going to take Rwanda 50 years to clear the backlog. Or in the worst case scenario, it's going to take them 100 years to clear the backlog. That's before you even address any boat arriving today or tomorrow or next week. So that is the extent of the problem. If this thing were up and running, Rwanda itself has said it can't ramp up capacity for a while.
Encouraging words there, Tom, from Fadi. So if what he's saying is correct and Rwanda hasn't got the capacity, and we do have tens of thousands of illegal migrants who fail in their asylum claims to stay here, where's the Labour government going to send them?
As you know, Lee, we've had the elections. Congratulations on your re-election to Parliament. But look, in a way, we've got to stop talking about Rwanda because that is a dead and buried scheme.
Where are they going to send them?
It was an absolute gimmick. It was going to cost tens of thousands of pounds. Only 4 volunteers went. In fact, more Tory cabinet ministers went to Rwanda to look at those actually quite luxurious accommodation.
Yeah, but Yvette Cooper's been asked time and time again, Tom, on this subject, where are you going to send these failed asylum seekers? Where
the point is, look, we're discussing here the so-called backlog. I mean, I wouldn't call it a backlog because at the moment, under the law that the last government passed, these are just categorised as illegal migrants. They're effectively stateless. They have no recourse to work. They have no way of actually becoming documented. I think actually what Yvette Cooper and Keir Starmer are doing here is just out-and-out common sense, in the sense that, do the British people want 100,000 people roaming our streets, undocumented, some of whom could be criminals, some of whom, you quite rightly, we wouldn't be able to send back. Why? Because 70% are probably from war zones, they're from Afghanistan, they're from Syria. We can't easily send those people back under international law. But there will be people, for example, who've come across the land route, Asia Minor, through Europe, ended up in Calais, got on one of those channel boats, and guess what? They're from Bangladesh. We've got good diplomatic relations with countries like Bangladesh. We should process their claims. We should send those people back under that deportation arrangement.
This is the problem, though, Tom. It's all well and good saying that, but these people know that, and they don't disclose where they're actually from. They throw their documents away. They say they're from a different country. They give all these reasons why they can't go back to this so-called country of origin. And I'll ask you again, where's the Labour Party going to send these failed asylum seekers?
We need a multi-pronged approach to this, right?
Name the country.
Well, if If they are not from a war zone that under international law we can't send them back to, we should be using our statecraft. It should be using, by the way, this honeymoon period that Labour government is going to have on the international stage. We're seeing that already with Keir Starmer and what he's doing to ensure we get returns agreements. Even the last Tory government, for example, with Albania, managed to get a returns agreement. 40% of arrivals just 2 years ago on those channel boats were coming from Albania. Yeah. That was reduced massively. So you need a multi-pronged approach. I mean, it's yet to be seen, isn't it, whether this border command is a rebrand of something that already exists or whether it actually is going to work. So the multi-pronged approach in my book is, yes, you've got to do something about the criminal gangs. You're right, Lee, we've got to do something about the pull factors. Yeah. And what I think is really interesting, actually, is you've got former Labour Home Secretaries like David Blunkett only this week saying that, we should be looking at the digital ID cards so that we don't have this pull factor with our labour market, this so-called Deliveroo economy, where we've got people risking their lives to come across the channel because they know they can work in our very deregulated labour market. Yeah. You're from a Labour background, you know what goes on here. If you've got a situation where effectively employers and unscrupulous employers know they can signal to people overseas, they can bring them in, not pay them minimum wage, you're going to get a form of modern human slavery. I think that's what we've got to end.
Fanny, I'll ask you the same question. He should be a politician, actually, Tom. I asked him the same question 3 times and he's not giving me an answer. Thanks for that, Tom. The Labour Party have said they're going to be very robust on this issue. They're going to process, 100,000 claims. But the question's still the same, Paddy. The failed asylum seekers, where are they going to go?
The bulk of claimants or applicants come from Syria, Iran, Afghanistan, Sudan.
Eritrea.
Yeah. And you just can't have, at present, because of the political climate and situation in those countries, you can't have agreements with those countries. Okay. So in terms of the logistics, it's not going to happen. And that's where the majority of applicants are.
You're an immigration lawyer, Paddy. Right? So you're a specialist, you're the man in the know. Why do they leave France, a safe country, to come to this country?
Because, contrary to popular perception, the 1951 Refugee Convention, which is the source law at the heart of this entire framework, does not require you to claim asylum in a
but that's not answering my question. What is it about France that they don't want to stay there? They
you've only got to
look
linguistic ties, the labour market, which is perhaps more relaxed or deregulated here. So various factors, language, the market conditions, existing family members here. So what happens is migrational patterns feed migrational patterns. So where you have an existing family structure in the UK.
And why are probably 80 to 90% of these people coming across on boats young men?
Pull factors.
Labour
market. Deliveroo economy.
So we're getting to the truth now, Tom, are we? So they're not fleeing war-torn countries. They're not fleeing for safety.
Many of them will
they're not
be
being persecuted.
Look,
why isn't there an equal number of women and children that's fleeing these war-torn countries?
Because we haven't, as a country, set up safe and legal routes other than the Hong Kong scheme and the Ukrainian scheme. How many Ukrainian men of working age are currently in the United Kingdom? Because we've set up a formal scheme in order to bring those Ukrainian... Well, it's well over 80,000, I think. I mean, Paddy, you'll probably know the exact figures. But just coming back to your question, because I will answer it. I mean, you asked the question, where do these people go? And the truth is, at the moment, we can't change the fact they are here, 100,000 that are undocumented, that have come over since Rishi Sunak went down the blind alley that is the Rwanda scheme. And they're costing us £8 million a day in hotels. They can't work. If they have healthcare needs, we have to give them their healthcare needs. That's just being a civilised country. And on your point, actually, about what's going on in northern France, I mean, I've been there, and you see, actually, frankly, the way the French treat the migrants, there's no wonder they want to get on a boat.
Because they won't claim asylum. I've been there.
They're not putting those people in forced hotels.
I've been there as well. And the reason they're in the tents, living on pallets in northern France, is because they refuse to claim asylum in France.
Yes.
I'll leave the final word, Paddy, on this one. Turnbacks in the Channel, would that work? Would that be a deterrent?
That would be problematic under the current legal framework on international law, because...
This is the thing. I keep, I've mentioned it in Parliament many, many times. What happens if we ignore international law and just do it? Does somebody come out and slap the old bracelets on?
The thing with international law is there isn't a enforcement or police body, so nothing will happen in the sense of any direct physical consequence.
So we could do it?
But it would then raise accusations of being a pariah state, a state that doesn't comply with the rule of law, that is not subscribed to the rules-based framework, and that would be the problem, because you've got 12 miles. 6 miles of which are in French waters, 6 miles of which are in British waters. So the French won't do anything in their 6 mile strait.
Apart from escort them over.
But then as soon as they cross the 6 miles of French waters, they're then in British waters, whereby the UK has territorial jurisdiction over them, and that's where they can claim asylum.
Well, guys,